Welcome to Chess TV. The spring and summer has finally arrived here in Stockholm, Sweden. And so it's time for the final episode of Chess TV. In this episode we offer a reportage from Malmö where the Sigmund chess tournament was played, and an episode of Chess History with Arne Johansson. We went down to Malmö to visit a tournament that every year allows some of the best Swedish players to measure up against world-class elite in amazing circumstances. This year was no exception. See for yourselves.
Well, chess has dramatically changed even during my lifetime, because I became a grandmaster and professional player in 1987. I was at that time extremely young, I was not even 20. And at that time, needless to say, nobody had a laptop. Nobody had a databases. People were not corresponding over internet. Nothing like this existed. The main correspondence was through some fax. And so it has changed dramatically. And okay, all the people, including me, they had to adapt through these changes. It is very simple, it is a live or die. Either you adapt to the modern changes which is connected to the game, or your concurrents are going to overtake you and you are not going to be able to stay in running anymore.
How do you think that development has impacted the chess style of play?
It has impacted that, let's say, people are getting, younger generation, they are getting more result-oriented, if you wish. So let's put it this way, time when I started, the chess was considered between sports and art. And I like this art element more, because the recent changes have brought more competitiveness into the chess and pushed it closer to the sport part, where actually preparation and all the kind of things related to it play more important role than a flash of inspiration. I like more the first part, when it was closer to the art. But like I said, you have developments of the game, the developments which doesn't use the game. And at some moment, it doesn't really matter what I like. If I want to stay running, I have to adapt to the situation.
So, speaking of adapting and playing chess, how do you normally prepare before a game, like before this kind of tournaments?
We have similar preparation, most of us. Most of us, we have computers with the databases, with games of the opponents, with the most recent games on the world tournaments, where you kind of try to find out what colleagues are doing, whether somebody came with some very interesting idea which you would like to follow. And then we analyze, and then before the game, in general, you never know what your opponent will do, but you do analyze his games. And you kind of go to the game with, let's say, ABC choices in your mind about how the game may develop. And for these ABC choices, you are having some kind of plan, how you are going to proceed. Okay, very often happens that your opponent does something which you didn't exactly expect, and then you have to solve the situation over the board. But you always come to the game with some kind of a game plan, with some kind of idea, well, how do you want to develop your game?
What does it take to being on the top and also staying on the top?
I guess it takes a couple of elements. Well, the first one is that you must work on your game. what everybody has to do. So you have to follow the latest developments. Just like if you want to be a good software engineer, you have to follow the latest developments. You cannot exclude yourself from this. You have to preserve your nerve system, so you should be able to stand the tension. This is what often people have a problem, because in the game at some moment tension develops. And it is not so easy to preserve this in yourself for 20 or 30 years. And you have to try to stay physically fit, because it helps. Games are taking long, you travel a lot, and you need some energy in order to be able to conduct your job well. In Brahma I played many times. Even in I think 95, had the pleasure of winning it. So now I play many times in Malmö, and I love Lila Tork and this beautiful city. It's always in a nice time, because weather is beautiful. Fortunately, they always organize it in May or June. They never choose for December, and they should keep it that way. Hey, I enjoy it very much. I was here many times. I think the organizer is very careful. Organizer is always trying to choose some good balance between giving a chance to best Swedish players to actually compare, to try to fight and to compare themselves for international competition, and always inviting 3 or 4 international players who have a reputation for playing interesting games. And I think that this is the balance which is well preserved during the last 20 years. I think this is 20th tournament or 19th tournament, something like this. Oh, I have many tournaments. I don't even know, where to start. And things are important. For example, from this tournament, this is an important tournament because it is a traditional tournament. Everybody follows it. But I go from this immediately to French team competition, where I will play for a new club. And of course, I want to play well for a new club. Then we have a Dutch national championship. It is always nice to win championship in your country. And then I will play 2 tournaments in Canada. So actually, no, it is very difficult to single out one single one as being the most important. I just hope that year will develop very well.
The upcoming World Championships match has got a lot of attention this year, and especially for our Scandinavian countries with Magnus Carlsen. What do you think about that match? I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but how are your feelings towards that match?
I think if Carlsen does manage to control attention, to control his nerves, that he would win. I have no doubts about this. But he has shown in the last number of tournaments psychological weakness of controlling his central attention. Because there were a number of important games in the last few tournaments which he did lose, which I think normally he would not have lost. And all his life he was treated as a prodigy, somebody with extreme talent, which he obviously is, but never had a performance pressure on his back, because since he was so young and so talented, people always judge it doesn't matter, he would have time to become a world champion. But okay, this time is now. Now is this match. So now he'll be playing maybe for the first time in his life with the full psychological pressure of all the media world watching at him, watching on every move he makes, which is not easy when you are so young. So I think if he would be able to control this psychological part of the game, then he would win for sure. And if not, well, then he would have to wait for another opportunity.
Ja, alltså då i samband med årets Igeman-turnering så har vi haft en simultan på Malmö centralstation tidigare idag. Ulf Andersson är ju Sveriges bästa spelare genom tiderna och har ju tillhört världseliten. Det var väl på 80-talet som han var som bäst där. Och ja, nu spelar han väl numera rätt så sparsamt, har jag förstått här. Men det är ju ett klassiskt namn. Alla sponsorerna vet ju vem han är också, så att det är viktigt att ha. Han var ju med på invigningen nu och allting sånt, så att det är tacksamt. Sen Stellan Brynell då, han är ju arrangörsklubben då, Limans schackklubbs ordförande tillika och flerfaldig svensk mästare. Det är ju svensk mästare nu i lag också här sistone, så att och mycket meriter också. Och sköter ju live-kommenteringen här och hjälper ju mig också ibland lite med tävlingen och så. Ja, det var att vi inledde samarbete med Jernhusen då, som äger byggnaden då, och så diskuterade vi lite grann det här vad vi skulle kunna göra. De ville ha att vi skulle göra någonting kul på stationen, och då är det ju rätt så tacksamt att köra simultanschack. Och det är ju ett väldigt bra sätt för oss att nå ut till vanlig publik så att säga, för att det brukar ju vara väldigt populärt att stå och titta på de här tillställningarna och vi har det här, och så får vi dessutom tillfälle att dela ut reklam om tävlingen. Allt schack som syns på det viset är ju positivt givetvis.
This is number 391 in the series of Chess TV programs. In 370 of these we have had a part with chess history. Bo Kyle took care of the first 8 and I started in program number 10. That was in October 2004 and my first theme was Philidor. And this is what it looked like.
Och ikväll ska Schackets kulturhistoriska sällskaps ordförande, nämligen Arne Johansson, presentera 1700-talets legendariska schackprofil, Philidor. Varsågod Arne.
Ja, med mitt specialintresse om gammal schackhistoria så tänkte jag ta chansen att berätta om en riktig gammal schacklegend. En klassiker bland alla schackspelare och schackteoretiker. Han hette André Danican men var mest känd som Philidor och var 1700-talets stora schackteoretiker och schackspelare. Han föddes 1726 strax utanför Paris och han växte upp i en musikerfamilj med farfar som spelade oboe vid franska hovet hos Louis XIII.
Peter Holmgren and Rolf Littorin have contributed to chess history sections in a few of the programs. In about a third of the programs the theme has been Swedish or Nordic. And some of the great world champions have received considerable attention. The longest series of history sections was about Emanuel Lasker, about whom I talked in 22 consecutive programs. During 2005 we were able to show 2 films from the archives of the Swedish National Television. One of the films was from the Vasa Chess Club New Year Tournament 1943 and the other from the Great Propaganda Tournament in 1924 in the City Hall of Stockholm. And this is what it looked like in 1924.
Mästaren Stoltz. Här ser vi Münchensegraren Gösta Danielsson i knivskarp konkurrens med Dr. Stig Lundholm, vilken sistnämnde ganska oväntat rodde hem ett första pris. Före Europamästaren Gösta Stoltz hade Sture Lindqvist till motståndare. Ryssen Aljeshin är för närvarande både Europa- och världsmästare i schack. Framför demonstrationsbrädan träffar vi på ordföranden i Stockholms schackförbund, advokat Folke Rogard, och i hans sällskap mästarturneringens uppmärksammade finske gäst Ari Ilmakunas, som är ordförande i Finlands schackförbund. I sammanhanget passar vi på att presentera Italiens schackmästare, nyblivne medicine doktorn Vincenzo Castaldi, som firar både sin examen och det nya året med att gå en simultanmatch mot 32 motståndare, alla fast beslutna att göra mästaren schackmatt. Efter 4 timmars spel hade Castaldi vunnit 26 matcher och gått en oavgjord.
A history section from 2006 that I would like to mention is Chess in the Wild West, a chess tournament in California during the time of the gold rush. It was inspired by the first American Chess Congress 1857 and took place the following year. The communication between the West and East Coast was slow at that time, which was before the era of train communication across the continent. So the reports in Frank Leslie's illustrated newspaper appeared with a delay of about a month. During 2007, I talked about the rather unknown Second, Third, and Fourth American Chess Congresses and the mysterious mythomaniac, etc., Albert Enser. During 2008, it was the 100th anniversary of the birth of Gideon Ståhlberg, and we highlighted the unique article in the chess history magazine Schackkultur that was written by his daughter. During 2009, I talked about the early American chess clubs and a murder history in the chess world that took place 1897 in Philadelphia. Another theme that was the unpublished manuscript with Ludwig Collin's memories, where especially his memories from the early teenage days are interesting. An extensive theme during 2010 was Fischer's route to the 1972 World Championship match, and of course the match itself. During 2011, we started a new era with reports filmed at various museums, archives, etc. The first was at the National Royal Library in Stockholm, where we got the chance to see the fantastic Sessolis manuscript from the later part of the 14th century. It had probably been resting untouched for more than 100 years when we got permission to bring it up in daylight and got permission to document it by filming. Despite the 2-day-long acclimatization process, the parchment pages moved slightly when they encountered the new humidity and light conditions. During that visit, we also looked at the first edition of the Königsstedt book, which is the first Swedish printed chess book. During the rest of 2011, we also reported from the National Swedish Archives, where we looked at 2 unique medieval documents, both from the year 1346. We also visited the Historical Museum, where we looked at medieval chess pieces, the Täby Church with wall decorations by Albertus Pictor, and above all, death-placed chess. We continued with Museum Gustavianum in Uppsala, where we saw the fantastic cabinet that was given to King Adolphus Gustavus II, and Skokloster Castle with fantastic 17th century chess sets. And finished with the National Art Museum, where we saw more cabinets, chess sets from the 17th century, and the silver table with a chessboard that had belonged to Queen Ulrika Eleonora. We continued our museum reports during 2012 with a report from the Sörmland Museum and the Nordic Museum, which surprised us by having a large number of fantastic chess objects. Among other things, a chess set with pieces that were manufactured by King Adolf Fredrik and given as a present to his wife, Queen Lovisa Ulrika. And there we also saw one of her own chessboards. None of the fantastic chess objects are normally shown to the general public. This year we followed up with a new visit to the National Royal Library in Stockholm, and we could give a kind of continuation of the Sessolis manuscript report with a short translation to Swedish in a 15th century manuscript. Well, now we have summarized almost 9 years of chess history in TV, and for those who are interested in more chess history, I can recommend membership in Schackets Kulturhistoriska Sällskap. So, bye-bye.
And that's it. On behalf of the entire Chess TV team, I would like to thank everyone who contributed and made it possible for us to produce and air new episodes throughout our 9 years on air. Thanks for watching.